All right, well, thank you everyone for coming to the Carroll County Technical Transportation Committee. We do have a quorum present, so the first item of business would be approving the minutes from past meetings. So hopefully you've had a chance to look at those, and if you have, we would entertain a motion to approve those unless there are any corrections or errors that need to be discussed.
I would make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Aaron.
Second.
Second from Mike. Very good. All right, any further discussion? Sounds like no. So with that, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, the motion carries. So then we move on to our first item of business, which is the traffic counts. So Ari, if you'd like to take it over for us.
Okay. Let's see, I have an attachment. So, background for everybody, like I always say, we do 65 counts every year. We do them on a 3-year cycle, so we do the same stations every 3 years. This is 2024, so we'll be doing the 2021 or 2018 stations. I haven't yet put together a proper list of the stations, but I did share the 2021 stations in the packet that we use, so it'll be very similar to those. If y'all have any suggestions for places to change or projects come up you'd like data for, then feel free to suggest any traffic count stations. We'll take those in the spring of 2024. So. Yep, that's all.
I have none.
All right.
Yeah, so just to piggyback off what Ari is saying, so we will definitely bring this for kind of final approval at our next meeting, which is February. So we will take it to both this committee and the administrative committee, which follows us, to gather any suggestions. We will send out I guess we'll call it a proposed set of locations before then, and if there are some that we want to add, that's fine. But we do have a limited number of how many we can take, which is 65. So if we are adding some, which is fine, we will need to think of which ones we want to remove. And kind of in the past, what we've done is when we did some to remove, we've taken out some that are kind of around the perimeter on the county roads where maybe traffic wouldn't necessarily have changed a lot since the last time we counted them. In favor of some more important locations. So we'll be sending those out probably around January and give you some time to review it in advance of the February meeting.
I think I asked this the last meeting as well, but I couldn't find it in my notes. So for the staff that replaces me, I'm going to try to make a list of all the stuff. And I know you guys did capo counts. And were those just because of historical data or because someone requested them, or so I can kind of pass along to them to be expect them to get those and whatever they choose to do with them?
Yeah, so that was by special request. Paul Coates, who was the county engineer at the time, had some feedback, I guess, from some people wanting to get some information about those. So we kind of had a meeting where we looked at, where might we want to take counts to try to capture traffic that would be going to the CAFOs. Okay. And then we just did it as part of the regular program. So we replaced count locations that we would normally do with the CAFO locations. There was about 18 or 19 locations that we put in specifically for CAFOs.
Yeah.
And then we took those at a different time of the year. So normally we take these in the spring, but we took the CAFO ones in the fall to try to get the harvest traffic.
Okay, very good. I don't think we've added enough CAFOs to I think we've added maybe one since I've been there 4 years, so I don't think it warrants anything at this time, so thank you.
Good to know.
All right.
Okay. So then we will move on to our next item, which is is very vague, potential future work. So what this item is essentially, we just kind of wanted to have a conversation about what we can do to continue to help you guys. So I think some of you may know this, but some of you may not. So the way that this is paid for is that every year we apply for a grant from the State Department of Transportation, and that money will pay for like 80% of the staff time that we use to do things like the traffic counting, the quality control, and whatever other work you would want us to do. So right now, by far the biggest thing that we give you is the traffic counts. That's the main thing. But we are able to do some more work if you would like. So we don't want to necessarily be doing a bunch of work and billing you for stuff you don't want. But at the same time, we do want to make you aware that we are available, and we would kind of want to look at what sorts of transportation type of work you might be interested in, since the grant is usually due around February. So we want to talk in advance of that, of okay, well, what do we want to do in the upcoming year? And if it is just the traffic count, that's okay. But if there's, some more work that we can assist you with, we're happy to consider that and figure out, how much staff time it would take and what we would need to put into the grant to make sure that, the 80% of that work gets paid for from NDOT. So that's more of something to consider. I would maybe like to have a separate meeting where we discuss that. So since we have a new elected mayor, I think that might be an appropriate person to reach out to. And then anyone that said mayor would like to invite to that meeting to coordinate with would be fine with us. We could probably just do it as like a virtual meeting sometime in the next couple of months. I know holiday time is always tricky and we're approaching that.
Yeah.
So we might want to look at it, after the first of the year.
Okay. And you guys handle the grant, correct?
Yes.
As far as the legwork and.
I write that.
Okay.
So that's no problem. I've done it several times. I'm very familiar with how it works and what needs to be. Okay, so that was item, I guess, 3A. So moving on to 3B, the 18-month letting list. So we did have a whole big bundle of projects along State Road 25. Now these are mostly NDOT's projects, right? But we had several bridge projects as well as an overlay, HMA overlay, so that's just the pavement, right? And those did let in October. They were awarded to E&B Paving. So that contract is expected to be complete in October of next year. So that does include all of the pavement overlay as well as the bridge work. So they kind of lumped it all into one contract. So that is actually then the last thing we have in this calendar year and this fiscal year. There was supposed to be one more project that was originally planned to let in December of this year, but that was moved to December of next year, and that was on State Road 25. State Road 29. So that's the second to last project on the list there. State Road 29 from 218, the south to the north there. So that is another HMA overlay. So that one got moved back. So unfortunately, we don't have an NDOT rep here to answer questions about this. But I do want to mention just something that we've seen in general with some of these NDOT projects. And what that is that they've had to do several kind of financial rebalancings on some of their work. They plan this work generally 2, 3, 4 years in advance, depending on what it is. And because of everything that's going on with supply chain and inflation and all that fun stuff, they've had to really juggle around projects a lot. So even some of these things that are looking out into next year, there's a possibility that they could still get moved. We're seeing some of the same things in Tippecanoe County for some of our work as well. So it's not something that's just unique to, you guys here in Carroll County or your district, it's statewide and then nationwide, so. Just wanted to make you aware of that, but yeah, as things currently stand, at least as far as the information that we have access to, this kind of bundle of Project on State Road 25 is the last one that we'll see within this calendar year. And then we'll be all the way up to September before we see something next year.
Have you heard any more about Deer Creek? I heard next year that they're supposed to do the bridge over Deer Creek. Because they were supposed to do this Washington Street. Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to, the one right there at the park over Washington, that is supposed to be back to back. Which one's that's done, are you guys gonna look at the truck route?
Well, I think they had both of them at one time on this little list at the same time, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
They had the one on Washington Street here on there, and I was concerned that they would do the other bridge at the same time, and I told them not to do so.
So that's,
That would create a serious issue in town, and they assured us that they wouldn't, but I hadn't heard any more on Washington Street. I thought that was gonna be in this.
that's, yeah. I can call it to report and see.
Yeah, I do want to just mention real quick that, so this list is supposed to cover 18 months. So if it is 19 months, it won't show up on this list, for example. So sometimes we've had situations where, there's been something that was supposed to be out 12, 13 months or whatever, and then because it slides back, then it falls off the list for a while and comes back. And so this is always I don't want to say a moving target, but it's something in constant flux. How about that?
Right. I thought it was supposed to be in that contract, I guess, that they signed with the commissioners, it was supposed to be done within a year. The bridge over, the old 25 bridge.
And was that related
They
to
had to
that?
change all the engineering and rescope everything.
Was that related to that relinquishment?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that one, I think I got an email, that one looks like it's supposed to be scheduled for December of 25. Cause I thought, oh my gosh, I gotta maintain that thing for even longer yet. Okay, so I pushed way out then.
Yeah, so that'll obviously be outside of the
Right.
18. Okay. All right, well, that is the last item that we have on our agenda, but if you guys have anything else you'd like to discuss with us while we're here, I guess we don't have any citizens for citizen comments, but you guys are citizens too, so.
What are some other, what's some of the other work that you could do?
Sure. So, for example, in Tippecanoe County, we will often review and comment on proposed projects. So, if it's something that the state is doing, then they kind of control that, right? But if it's something that's local, we will often be asked for input on that, as to what sort of access might we want to look at for a property. That's a pretty big one, is access. We also do some other safety type of studies, so we will do like crash studies, which we can certainly do that kind of work as well. We have also done some applications for some of that grant-based funding that they have, so, either the IIJA or BIL, it's the infrastructure law that was passed in 2022, has got two names. You'll see it referred to as both because I don't know why. Yeah, so we have put together some applications for funding for that. We've done some stuff with the Community Crossings program. So we can do any of that kind of stuff. We also had talked about doing what we call a long-range transportation plan, but we were having some problems kind of getting that off the ground with getting the information we needed from people here locally. So what that is it looks at, well, what's the state of the county going to be in 20, 25 years, and what will we need then to meet that need in terms of, do we need some new roads, do we need to, provide for additional maybe trails, or other types of infrastructure, things along those lines. The truck routing issue, which I know has been a long-standing thing, here, that has been a challenge. We could look at doing some planning for that. Try to set up some sort of project plan as to what we would like to do to address that long term. And we can also definitely help you with any sort of federal funding, because that comes with a bunch of additional requirements if you do want to tap into that. So anything along those lines.
Okay. Which for the federal grants, you have to have in place the long-range plan to even get, for them to even review it, correct?
For most of them, yes. It varies a little bit from grant to grant as to what they need to see, but they often will need an ERC, so an employee responsible charge. Is one thing they typically need to see. They also will often have requirements for some data that you have to, specific data you have to include, or policies that you have to have adopted, or things along those lines. It does really vary from grant to grant. But yeah, it's stuff like that.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. Which we are in a transition phase again at the county highway level. So,
Our superintendent stepped down.
so that'd be another challenge that,
I see. Great.
I'm not seeing any comments on Facebook or YouTube, so.
All right, then, in that case, I think we can, if there are no more comments or questions, we can take a motion for adjournment, but if there are more comments or questions, we're happy to answer those.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, the motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.